Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. David Hooper, and today it's all about dealing with disappointment. And this is something that I've come across quite a lot when it comes to my personal life. I've been disappointed a lot, and talking to others, this seems to be something that people need help with. I think mental health is getting a lot of attention right now in a good way. I'm so pleased that it is. And I think we're worried about becoming disconnected from each other. I think this has improved since COVID, but I still think that we are coming out of it rather than being fully out of it completely. And I think as a nation, or certainly as individuals, we are on the lookout for anxiety and depression more than ever before. But the thing that I want to talk about today is those in-between feelings. So if you're not anxious and you're not depressed and you're in the middle, what is that? And a lot of the time it's the feeling of disappointment. But before we dive into this, how's your day going? And how's your week? I haven't asked you for a while. Are you enjoying the episodes? I truly hope you are, as I get comfy here. And I will just say that I've got both my girls with me. I've got Luna, who's asleep behind me on the floor. She may make an appearance at any moment because our postman comes in this little window, so we will see. I've also got Arwen, who is wandering about and may shout any moment as well, because she normally gets let out to go and play at this time of filming. So who knows? I may have some co-guests today, and we'll see how that goes. But it's what it's like. This is life. This is life. You have to strive for progress, not perfection. What's been going on at your end then? How is your mental health? How is your physical health? I am locked in to a diet at my end, and I am chasing a goal. I've got about 8 pounds to lose, and I've got about 4 or 5 weeks to do it. So I've left it a little bit late. Oh, there's the cat. I thought she might make an appearance. I hope you might have heard her jingle bell there. I'll just open the curtain so she can go and look out the window. There you go. One happy cat. But yeah, I've left it a bit late. Now we are going to a wedding in a couple of weeks' time, and I had to diet pretty hard because I wouldn't have got in my suit. So, and this goes back to that video I did a few weeks ago when it was dealing with overwhelm. I didn't create enough time in my life to look after myself mentally and physically. I was just grinding. I was getting the podcasts out. I was getting in touch with guests, filming episodes, building Lunala AI, getting ready to launch that. And sometimes your physical health and mental health go on the back burner, which is not a good thing. I want to highlight that is not a good way to live. And it's not something I do regularly. It just happened to be that 4 or 5 week window where things kind of got to a head, where I always bring this on myself, organized a ton of guests, and it was amazing. But also I was trying to start a business and start to get into the rhythm of doing podcasts, and I brought that on myself. So, I'll take full ownership for that. So I'm back in it, and I'm dieting hard, losing the weight, feeling a lot more confident. I don't know if that's coming across in the videos or not, but yeah, I feel great. And it's a good goal to have. I like being in a diet, and I've never mastered making it a lifestyle. I will say that. I tend to yo-yo a little bit. So around Christmas, I'll put on a little bit of weight, and then into the new year, I'll be right, I need to lose a little bit of weight. Nothing like I used to do. So I used to put on 3 stone every Christmas. literally every Christmas. Then there was obviously the time in 2017 where I put on the best part of 6 stone, which I laugh, but it wasn't funny at the time. Obviously, I was in a really, really dark place. And yeah, that is just something that I've promised will never happen again. But we're getting off topic here. This is all about mental health and figuring out how to deal with that. So yeah, that's what's been going on. I still really busy. Got this wedding to aim for to get in my suit. I then have a holiday 3 weeks after, which I am really looking forward to. We are going to Crete with my family. So Laura, my mum and dad, and my sister and her family, so her partner and 2 little ones. And the good thing about taking the little ones is that you get to do all the cool kid stuff that you probably wouldn't do, like going to water parks and going on the rides and getting in toys and all that sort of stuff. It is going to be a blast. So yeah, really excited for that. And the thing about going on holiday is it allows you to create that mental space. So something that I used to do is I didn't take my phone on holiday with me. So I used to literally leave it at home and be like, if you need me, ring Laura. Because Laura isn't that active on social media, and when her workday finishes, it's finished. So she doesn't get that many like notifications or pressure to get in touch with anybody. And that was great because I would just not take my phone and I'd switch off completely. And that is when I was really at my lowest with my mental health, that was the case. And yeah, I don't need to do that now. I take my phone. I'm engaging on social media a lot. I'm posting still. I don't need that switch off like I used to because I'm not getting burnt out. I can manage myself a lot better than I used to. So yeah, there's all sorts of things going on at my end. By the sounds of it, I just yeah had a little therapy session with you guys there. So I appreciate you listening. And it's today, like I said, is all about that those in between feelings, the feeling of disappointment. You're not exactly sad, but you're not anxious either, and you're not angry, but life has been letting you down lately. I think that's a great phrase. You're feeling disappointment, and it's a horrible feeling, being let down or being disappointed in an outcome. It's not a new feeling, so disappointment isn't new. It's been around forever, but I think the recent crises, the global pandemic, the wars that are going on, the earthquake disasters, the cost of living crisis, all of that stuff really exasperates it and really shines a light on what's going on in this world. But the thing about crises, crises, really, that is a word we need to know how to say. Apparently it's one of the ones I don't know how to say, among many. The crisis also creates breakthroughs. So I say a phrase that you might have heard on my other podcasts, which is trauma leads to triumph. So that's where you turn your trauma into a triumph. And that's exactly the same here. Crisis leads to breakthroughs. You must discipline your disappointment and push forward to create the life you deserve. Because here's the thing, no one is coming to save you. I want to save you. And hopefully I'm giving you as much help as I can through this method of podcasting. But no one is coming. And it took a while for me to realize that. And what I don't mean by that statement is you're going to have to sit in silence by yourself in a horrible space forever because no one's going to get you out of it. I don't mean that. And hopefully you do have a support network around you of friends, family, partner, therapists, counselors, coaches, work colleagues. So hopefully you do have someone who you can talk to. But the truth is, the only person who can help you really is you. And when you accept that, you can start to take major action. So I see people who are disappointed with their careers, but yet aren't trying to apply for a new job. Or people who are disappointed they don't have their own business, but aren't trying to start their own business. Or people who are disappointed that they aren't in the relationship that they want to be in, yet they're staying in the relationship or not looking for that new person. And all of those examples, it really comes down to you and what you're willing to do. And if you're willing to take that major action to start the business, start applying for those new jobs, start a new relationship, then that positive action is going to lead you towards whatever you want it to lead to. And that's what I mean by no one's coming to save you. So if you want to start a business, no one's going to come and knock on your door and say, "Hi, David, do you want this business that I've created? You can just take it." That doesn't really happen very often. Maybe it does if you get it, if your parents have an amazing business and they're passing it down to you. But for the majority of us, that doesn't happen. So as you know on this podcast, your mindset controls everything in your life. I am a huge believer in that your mindset is the make it or break it moment. It's that percentage that is going to help you achieve your greatness. It's what the podcast is all about, the Unstoppable Introvert Project. We're all a project working towards something bigger than ourselves, but it all comes down to you being unstoppable and getting into that mindset of, right, I am unstoppable. I can go and achieve my best self, and whatever, guys, that is, whether it's starting the business, the relationship, applying for the new job, taking on a new risk by starting a new hobby, or whatever it is, whatever's going to make you fulfilled and be the best version of yourself and help you feel unstoppable, that's what we're shooting for. So I'll say it again, your mindset controls everything in your life, your career, your relationship, your physical appearance. And remember, you control your mindset, which is an amazing position to be in. Those who use this power, and it is a power, to learn how to deal with disappointment will thrive. Those who don't will be left behind. It's like what I was saying in the last podcast around AI. Those who start to use AI are going to thrive. Those who don't use it will get left behind. It is exactly the same when it comes to your mindset. It's all about taking control of your mind and figuring out how you can use it in a controlled way, as in you're in control, and thrive. That's the goal here. That's what I want for you. Let go of disappointment and create real lasting change in your life. And by the end of this podcast, that is what we're going to do. I'm going to have a quick slurp of my decaf coffee because I'm still on that decaf game. So on that, I am coming up to 6 weeks of caffeine freeness. Now, I am having decaf coffee and I do drink Diet Coke. And that really helps with the diet, by the way, if you haven't come across that yet. On those days where you're not eating a great deal, having Diet Coke really fills you up. So it's a big help. But yeah, 6 weeks on decaf coffee because I was suffering from anxiety and I was having panic attacks and I was overwhelmed and the caffeine wasn't helping and I was having far too much during those periods of podcasting and building the business, and it was crazy amounts. Oh, the cat's about to make another appearance. Sorry, she just jumped across the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, I do apologize. Very rude cat. But my question to you guys, I know I'm going off topic here, is when does the caffeine or not having caffeine actually pay off? I am not feeling any different. I'm maybe feeling a little less anxious. That is one thing I'm feeling. Mainly because I'm taking some massive action on my goals since launching Lunala AI and also pumping out the podcast episodes. We're approaching 40, which is insane. I'm really taking action on my goals, which is great, and that helps with the anxiety and the overwhelm and the panic attacks. But when do you stop feeling tired? And I don't know that question. I don't know the answer to that question. I will keep you posted with it because some of you may be interested in having a caffeine-free life as well. But anyway, sorry. Amongst the caffeine and the cat, we're going all over the place with this podcast today. But what is disappointment? So it's a complex human emotion related to being sad or sadness. And it's that feeling of being let down when things don't go our way, or what you expected to happen doesn't happen, or someone doesn't come through for you. And it can also be combined with other emotions as well, whether it's that we're feeling frustrated or upset, or even a little bit angry at a person or a situation or an event that messed up maybe our perfectly laid plans. We've probably all been in that situation where like, oh, everything was awesome. Everything was about to be good. And these emotions are all part of the spectrum of the human experience. Unfortunately, we have to deal with it. I remember when I was a young footballer, 13, maybe 14, and where I live in the northeast of England, it's wet, it's rainy, it's not that nice in terms of weather. It's cold, it's beautiful, but it's not that nice in terms of weather. It's not hot and sunny a lot. And I remember that, the best part of my week was my football match on Sundays. Oh, I'd be so excited. And I'd have all my kit laid out, my boots cleaned, and go to bed imagining what I was going to do in the game the next day. And yeah, the Sunday would come, and then the anxiety would start because I'm not anxious about the match. I'm anxious about the phone call we used to get. And back in those days, which was like the early 2000s, 1999 to 2003, for example, we used to get a phone call off the manager, my parents did, to say that the game was off because it was too wet and it had to be cancelled because the pitch was waterlogged. And I remember it get an hour away from us leaving, 45 minutes away from us leaving, half an hour away from us leaving. I'd get changed, I'd put my kit on, get everything prepped, get my water bottle sorted, have my pre-match meal, 15 minutes before we were about to leave. And then the phone call would come. And before my parents even answered the phone, my stomach would sink, I'd feel sick. Then they'd take the call, the game was off, I'd have to get changed. And it's that feeling of disappointment. I'm so sad that I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I had these great plans. My kit was clean, my boots were clean. I was going to have an amazing match. I might get scouted to go and play for a professional team. I'm going to change my life today. The plans were laid out. I was ready. I was ready to perform, man. And that feeling of disappointment, it would last. It would last until the next week, and we go through it all again. So you might have your own example of that, but it's when those plans don't quite align, and it's that feeling of expectation in reality when they don't quite align. Something that's quite interesting that psychologists have said is that there's different categories for human emotions, but there are only 4 core emotions that have always been included when the different categories of emotions have been classified. And those 4 are fear, anger, joy, and sadness. And they operate on a spectrum. So at one end you've got fear, the other end you've got anger, and then in the middle you've got things like frustrated, annoyed, and excited. So if you imagine there's these different kind of levels across the spectrum, joy and sadness are opposites, but then we've got emotions like disappointment, boredom, pride, and serenity in between. And of course, there are many other emotions, but thinking of it in this way helps you identify and learn how to deal with disappointment. But why do we feel disappointment? It's because life doesn't live up to our expectations. Full stop, period. We've all created a blueprint for our happiness. This is the way we think our lives need to be, whether it's the dream job, the 2.4 kids, the nuclear family, the two car garage, the white picket fence, the detached house, whatever it is. But we also live our lives with expectations. We expect others to treat us kindly. We expect hard work to pay off. We expect to be rewarded for living ethically and making good choices. But that, unfortunately, isn't how life works. And other people won't always treat you with respect. Your partner won't always live up to your relationship expectations. And bad things do happen to good people. These facts of life make dealing with disappointment a regular event, and one you must matter because it happens so regularly. And if you're having huge setbacks every time you feel disappointed, then you are never going to progress. And when you allow that to happen, your life will just become a bubble of sadness and disappointment and anger and frustration and on all those negative emotions. So if you can grasp how to focus on things you can control, then you can start to make progress. When we think about disappointment, we see it often as a negative, but it doesn't always have to be, because emotions themselves are neither positive or negative. They are just a result of how we are framing and looking at a certain situation. And they are there to teach us something. So if you imagine from your perspective, well, let's take it from an introvert's perspective against an extrovert's perspective. You and someone else are meant to be going to a party. You get the phone call that says, you know what, mate, the party's off, it's not happening, I can't do it anymore. You're probably like, yes, I don't have to go to the party, I can just stay in the house, watch a film, chill with my partner, whatever. Yes, that's awesome. If an extrovert gets that phone call, they might be like, oh, I was so looking forward to that party. I wanted to see people, I wanted to mingle with people, I wanted to get to know new people. Man, that has ruined my weekend. So that same situation, two different emotions. One, an introvert, probably. I know if it was me, I'd be like, yes, I don't have to go to the party. Pleased with that. On the other side, an extrovert, maybe they're like, oh, I'm disappointed. So same situation, different frames, different perspective, but similar in terms of outcome. Both got the same call. And remember, you wouldn't have got all of these emotions if they didn't serve you in some way. The key is to turn your disappointment into actions. And something that Tony Robbins says, which I think is really important to mention at this point, is that disappointment either destroys you or drives you. You have to decide which. How powerful is that? So Tony Robbins says, disappointment either destroys you or drives you. You have to decide which. So that is so powerful, isn't it? You can decide which it is. It's not your fault if you get knocked to your knees. Life happens. It is your fault if you don't get off your knees. So dealing with disappointment isn't always easy, but like any obstacle, you can turn it into an opportunity. So, like I say, if you get knocked down, it's not your fault, but if you stay down and you don't get up swinging, that is your fault, and you need to take ownership of that. So how are we going to deal with disappointment? Whether it's a rough week or a month or a year, you need to get out of your rut and thrive again. You need to learn how to deal with failure and disappointment, and you'll take back control of your life and your destiny. You know, I've mentioned a few times about one of the worst things that ever happened to me was that I got released from a prestigious football academy at 16. And that disappointment meant I labeled myself as a failed footballer until I was in my mid-20s. And it would be very upsetting, very raw. I didn't want to talk about it. I don't think people actually knew I was in the academy system until recently because I did not tell anybody. I was embarrassed that I got released. I was sad that that lifelong dream had come to an end. And I labeled myself a failed footballer. And it wasn't until I removed that label and started to look forward and realized that actually I'd learned a hell of a lot from that time at the academy around standards and how to go about your business and being in an elite environment. You know, it was amazing. And that's something I'm always striving to get back to and just act in that way as well. And, you know, I learned, took so much. And that then allowed me to complete my master's degree, to get my PhD, start multiple businesses, meet my partner. You know, I went and changed my life in a lot of really good ways. So it's all about how you deal with that disappointment. But the first one, here is 5 keys that I think you can apply today that will change your life for sure. Firstly, commit to what you can control. One of the greatest truths you can learn in life is the only thing that you can control is yourself. You know, that there's nothing more I can say about that. And part of that control is that we get to choose our emotions. Dealing with disappointment means following some dealing with disappointment means taking control of your consistent emotions and beginning to consciously and deliberately reshape your daily experience of life. And what that means is you are in the driver's seat, your emotions are in the passenger seat. You don't allow your emotions to drive. You're in the driving seat, they are in the car. They're never not going to be in the car, but they're in the passenger seat next to you. And it's up to you to keep them there, to be in control of those emotions. Number 2, let go of expectations. Those who've mastered how to deal with disappointment have really mastered something else entirely, and that is letting go of expectations. When you don't expect life to give you anything, you can never be disappointed. Instead of asking what life can give you, trade your expectations for appreciation. Decide that you will feel grateful, relaxed, and confident no matter what. Now, I've got an example of this that happened quite recently. I had an interaction with somebody where I basically asked them for help. And it wasn't too long ago. And it was in 2024. I asked them for help and they ghosted me completely. So basically what happened was I provided them with loads of value and did everything that people say you should. I gave as much value as possible. I gave them content, advice, support. And then I asked them for help with something. I asked them for a review on my Facebook page, which is about a 1-minute job. And I got completely ghosted and felt embarrassed and like an idiot. And I was really disappointed with that because I felt like I bonded with this person as well. And I resented that. I was like, right, this isn't how I'm going to operate. And I was in that bad place. I'd been let down. I was disappointed. I was sad. I was angry. I was hurt. I was embarrassed. But then I thought about my expectations. And something that I do now is I give as much as I can to people with no expectations coming back to me. I do ask for something now and again, but if they don't do it, it's fine. That's not why I'm trying to give you as much value as possible. So let's take a podcast guest. So if you're a podcast guest on my podcast, I give you a ton of information before you come onto my show. I pick a time or I get you to pick a time that works best for you, so it's convenient for you. Once we've filmed, they get the long form video, the long form audio, the transcript, the social media thumbnail, the YouTube thumbnail, the short form clips as well. I then share all of their profiles on all of my social media accounts. I write them a review for their website, for their Facebook page, and their LinkedIn page. And I will do anything else that they can think of if I can. And I do that regardless of whether I get anything back. That is now how I look at this. Then I can't be disappointed. Do I ask, can you give me a review as well? Yeah, I do. After I've given them so much value and time and information. And if they don't give me anything back, that's fine. It's really not a problem. And because I've let go of expectations, I was let down and disappointed with a person because they didn't show the same gratitude to me as I did to them, and it really hurt. But that was a great lesson for me about my expectations. So I've lowered them. I haven't lowered my standards in terms of giving my best to other people, but now I am not disappointed if I get in touch with somebody and they don't give me what I've asked for. That's not why I'm doing this. So that's the second one, let go of expectations. Number 3, shift your focus. So think about what you're focusing on, because remember, what you focus on, you feel, and what you feel, you become. When you focus on the negative, you bring more negativity into your life. But when you choose to focus on what you have rather than what you don't, you'll attract even more abundance and gratitude. Don't focus on your disappointment. Use techniques like things like visualization or priming yourself to focus on the future you actually want. Then put all of your energy into making it happen. See, there's a theme here: action, 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 action. That is the key thing that helps you get out of depression, helps improve anxiety, helps deal with overwhelm, and also helps you overcome disappointment as well. Number 4 is choose your words wisely. Focus isn't just about what you're doing, it's also about what you're thinking. If your mind is filled with limiting beliefs, like I don't deserve happiness, learning how to deal with failure and disappointment feels like an insurmountable obstacle. It really, really does. And remember, we've talked about empowering beliefs in the past. Your empowering beliefs allow you to grow from failure to actually achieving those dreams that you have, those big, lofty dreams. So next time you're in a negative thought bubble, change your words, verbalize those positive words, and that is going to help you change your life, I promise you. And then lastly, reframe your experiences. One of my favorite things that you can do, look at the way you are viewing your situations that you're finding yourself in. The truth is, you've got to try and let go of the past. It's the same with my football example. It's the same with my interaction that I just mentioned as well. You need to let go of the past, because the only thing that genuinely makes us happy is progress. It's one of our fundamental needs as a human. We need to feel like we're progressing. So find the lesson in your disappointment, of course, but then reframe it in a positive way and then let it go. Your past is not your future unless you live there. So remember, guys, dealing with disappointment is one of the key aspects of living a happy, fulfilling life. It's also key when it comes to improving your mental health. And just remember those 5 keys. Commit to what you can control, let go of expectations, shift your focus, and choose your words wisely, and then also reframe your experiences. I really hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I hope that you aren't feeling disappointed and that you're ready to let go of the past and go and progress and achieve some incredible things in your life. And remember to follow us on all of our platforms at Dr. David Hooper. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, and subscribe on Spotify as well. And if you can rate an episode, it would be so appreciated. And remember, your introversion isn't the thing that will hold you back. It is the thing that will catapult you towards greatness. Until next time, stay unstoppable.